Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone in between, Jason, welcome back to another tier list. Now, this tier list has actually been a long time coming. I've actually been making multiple plans to do one over the last couple weeks, but it feels like every time I finally go ahead and plan it, that something new happens and changes everything, so I had to reevaluate the tier list. This time, it was delayed because, hey, the skill rebalance was announced, completely slaughtering all the top decks. Well, all in big air quotes. It killed Gaia, basically, as the #1 most undefeated deck in the room. But hey, that's good for us, because that means making this tier list means more, right? So, have a lot of decks here. To start us off, we're going to do a deck that I actually did not include in the last video. It's been a long time since I made a tier list like this, so bear with me if I'm referencing something from a very long time ago, but we have Royal Rebels. I'm going to be moving Royal Rebels into the has potential category. There was a separate ban list that came out a long time ago that unlimited a bunch of the Royal Rebel cards, giving it a much different kind of ability. Really, it was just unlimiting a card that was limit 3, you know? Royal Rebels has the issue of not really being great at searching, but when it pops off, it can pretty much beat any deck in the room, which is why I would put it here in the has potential category, just waiting for some new cards to come out to maybe fix it up, give it something that really searches better, maybe a new skill, but that's something we can't really predict. Next up, Insects. Insects also, on that very same ban list, had an unlimiting where they have actually Insect Rampage, completely unlimited, and that card is insane. That is one of the craziest cards in Rush right now, which puts Insects right up here in the good on ladder category. They also have so many other good tools that have come out since the last list I made of these, and I would say they definitely deserve a spot closer to top tier. Speaking of decks that used to be top tier on that previous list, we have Psychics. Psychics, I'm going to go ahead and put in the good on ladder category. So they were hit by the last ban list pretty hard, and then they also got their skills rebalanced. So they, had the chance of being higher on the list. They're still good on ladder. It's just a lot more inconsistent, and some of the lines have now changed since you can't bet on hard drawing like a Prima Katana to then pitch it with your skill and all this other cool stuff, because now the skill shovels them back, so it's a little weaker there. But overall, with all the limits that have happened, whether they hit Psychics directly or indirectly, they are much lower power level. They can still win most games, which is why they're good on ladder, but I would say they're still missing things, that the good cards in their deck haven't been replaced. They've been limited, and now it's just so inconsistent. Next up, we got Buster Blader Warriors. Just gonna throw down the do not play. You might think to yourself, hey, dragons are a pretty highly represented deck on ladder. Maybe I should play Buster Blader. No. You do not play Buster Blader. You don't play Buster Blader. It's, it's not much. Now we have Seven's Paladin. This is the Spellcaster Fusion deck. There are so many cards that are just unreleased for both Spellcasters as a generic type and for Seven's Road specifically. And eventually those things are going to come out, and then I would say this deck will get better. But while they're still missing them, I'm just going to leave them here in the has potential category. Now we have another pretty good deck. We have Cybers. The new Cybers cards are really freaking good. They just came out. They got the unlimits, and I would say that just turboing into Yggdrago is probably one of the best things you could be doing right now in the format. So it is arguable for me to maybe consider Cybers top tier or not, but I'm just going to put them down here and good on ladder because we don't have the real results to bump it up higher. They're not like taking down tournament after tournament the same way other top decks have done. Speaking of top decks, we got the Dragon deck. This is the Miragia, Miragia Fusion deck, and despite it getting rebalanced on the list, it still keeps its spot as being one of the best decks you could possibly be playing in Rush. I'd honestly say that this deck might end up being the only deck here in top tier by the end of this video. I'm not too sure right now. There's others I'm debating, and we're just gonna have to see when I get there what we think. But yeah, this is the top dog. A lot of the cards we were using before to counter Gaia do still counter the Dragon deck, so you still should expect to be playing things like Trap Hole and Forever Freeze to counter this deck specifically. And honestly, I'm saying you should play those cards because you're probably going to end up running into this guy on ladder. Or if you're just playing this, you know, look out for those cards. Honestly, like, this deck gets the top tier slot just because it's so consistently OTKs. We got Thunder going in the do not play category. Honestly, the absolute lack of synergy between the previously released Thunder skill and the new cards is exactly what puts this down and do not play. This deck basically needs the best of all best hands to even make a play, and then with the new cards you need to then get a better than the best hand. It's just a really rough deck, doesn't really function well with itself, and the payoff for it isn't even that great in the first place. It was better around when it first released, when you could say, I can take advantage of all these people emptying out their hands. But the power level of Rush has gone up so much that it's not worth playing this. There's not really an anti-meta deck this format. Next up, we got the Celestial Maiden Warrior deck. This deck is fun. It's fun. I kind of liked it when I played it, but it's really not great. It's really missing a lot of things. Not having really good access to the actual Celestial Maiden card, that normal monster you need to summon on field to make any of your fusions. It's really rough. And if you're just using the Kimi Luna stuff to kind of like take advantage of, I don't know, attack position monsters, it's not great. It doesn't really do enough for you to really play well on ladder. You might have fun. The deck is a lot of fun, which is why I'm putting it in this category, but don't expect to have an easy walk to King of Games. Next up, we got Max Excavator. This is, so the new Worm cards came out and they are pretty good, but I'm putting this in Do Not Play because I honestly think the Max Monster version of the deck is still pretty bad. The actual Worm deck is pretty good, but this specifically, I will honestly say, really bad. Dark Magician, one of my favorite decks in the game. Honestly, I love the Dark Magician. I love Dark Magician deck. But it is just trying to sack Secret Order, do some combos, wipe the board, wipe the back row. I mean, can't even wipe the monsters. You get short like one monster a turn. And honestly, it doesn't do enough to be competitive with the current decks, but it is still a lot of fun to play, so I'll give it in the fun category. Next up, we got Monarchs. I'm going to go ahead and put Monarchs in the Do Not Play. Speaking of decks that are just kind of outdated, Monarchs doesn't really do a lot. The Monarch Blue Eyes deck was pretty decent for a time. You still see it running around ladder sometimes, but I'll be honest, it's not great at all. It's really rough. I would honestly say if you want to play any of the Monarch cards, maybe try that Blue Eyes deck, the Monarch Blue Eyes deck, but pure Monarchs, especially pure Monarchs, are really bad. Speaking of decks that are really bad, we got Warriors. Warriors have been indirectly hit by the ban list multiple times, and we still lack anything really good to do. Yes, the Dark Delator Fusion Yamiterasu is really strong, does pretty much stop the opponent from playing altogether, but it is a floodgate, and it seems that people in charge don't want the floodgates to be very good. So it's super inconsistent. It's not very powerful. You know, if you can't really get to the floodgate, your deck isn't really doing anything in the first place. So it's just all around a very rough time. Now, how about a deck that has some potential? We got Hero, Pure Hero. After the rebalance of the Gaia skill, we can no longer play Gaia Hero, which was a top deck in the previous format. But now that we do not have the Gaia cards for the deck, I am going to put Hero and has potential because just like with the Spellcasters and the Seven's Road deck cards, there are so many unreleased Hero cards. Those could come with a new skill. Those could come with just a whole bunch of new cards that do crazy things. So we're pretty much just waiting for that to come, and then the deck will get what it deserves. Next up, we got High Tech Dragons. High Tech Dragons is a pretty interesting deck. It's a lot of fun to play. Usually I would put a deck like this in the fun but not great category, but considering the current format, it's pretty open in terms of what is actually being played on the ladder. And High Tech Dragons does get to take advantage of people who are just trying to go ahead with 1,500 guys to just attack you for damage. So this deck has to take advantage of that as well. It's a very consistent burn strategy, which I think really takes people off guard when their life points are being slowly whittled down over the course of the game. We got another deck that's good on ladder. We got Light Galaxy. Light Galaxy has gotten new tools, but those new tools are not what's making it good. The OG cards we'd gotten with the first wave of Light Galaxy are still very strong. Galactica Force, the Meteor Charge, and of course the Secret Order and Oblivion themselves are all really, really, really good cards. I would honestly say still get a decent slot on the meta ladder. We got another deck that I'm saying do not play, and that's the Kappas. The Kappas are pretty much just built to counter one specific thing, and I'm pretty sure it's just Seven's Road, because it's probably like an anime deck or something. I'm not familiar because I haven't watched the anime still. I've been meaning to watch Sevens and Go Rush for a very long time. I just haven't done it yet. The cards we have are pretty decent. It's just they don't do much to any of the decks that anyone else is playing. It's way too specific to do anything relevant. Next up, we got Gaia. Gaia is good. It's still good. It is still pretty good. The deck just has a completely brand new identity post rebalance, and I would say that wouldn't be enough to make it top tier. Changing the skill to being only able to add from grave both the poly and the normal monster, and only having that be once per duel, as well locking your extra deck to only the Gaia stats, really hurt this deck. It really, really, really hurt this deck. But the new way the deck plays is pretty interesting. We haven't gotten to play with it yet because the rebalance has not gone through as of recording this video, but it looks like it is still going to be a very solid, very sound strategy that just completely new identity, and we won't really know its true place in the meta now without getting our hands on it. Next up, we got Sea Serpents. Despite me loving this deck, I would love to just throw it in fun but not great. This deck is ass. This deck is ultra ass. I would honestly say this deck just gets a million pieces of advantage and then can't do anything because it loses to defense position. It loses to bigger monsters. It's just really rough. We can get all the advantage in the world, but at the end of the day, the cards we draw are Sea Serpents, and they kind of suck. Finally, we have a second deck hitting the top tier. We have Dark Galaxy. Dark Galaxy is super interesting. So the deck debuted, super strong, top tier, really cool. There were some cards that countered it, but they're not great anymore. Rice Terrace is really strange these days, and even then it only hit Star Transfer. But the only things that have happened to Dark Galaxy since are new cards being printed and cards being limited that didn't have any business being limited. So, with all that said, the deck keeps its same power level that it debuted with, and that's pretty damn good. I would say this definitely the Gaia decks being moved out of the format definitely just lets Dark Galaxy move up rather than having a change in its own power level, because I'll be honest, the new cards are cool, but they're not perfect. The Equip card and the new Black Dwarf cards, they're just fine, if I'm being real. It doesn't give a new spin to the deck, but it's not a new spin that makes it any better than it once was. But it's still really good. It's still really good, and I personally like it a lot. And I would say it goes close in power level to the Dragon Fusion deck. I wouldn't put them exactly on the same level, but they are probably the most competitive with each other out of all the other decks. Next up, we got Max Overlord. So if you are not locked into this channel, you can go back to my previous video on the Rush Rundown Max Overload. The deck is really cool. It's not actually playing the Max Overlord skill. It's playing double extraction, which just sets up this cool advantage engine that lets you pretty much get the big guy out very frequently, as well as gets to play other machine favorites like Ancient Gear Golem and Mirror Innovator. But the reason I'm putting it in fun and not any of the other tiers is because it still has the same issue where if you go for the maximum summon, you still lose to guys being set in defense position. So it still has that weakness, and the deck doesn't really have a way to fix that unless you somehow get them to kill your Magnum Overlord. Next up, we got Worms. The new Worm cards, they're pretty cool. The new Worm cards are pretty cool. And I think that puts them close to the top and gets them in the good on ladder tier. I honestly played around with them a bunch when they first came out. I had an absolute blast with them. The deck does still have its issues, but I would say it's definitely a contender for being one of the best decks you can be playing right now. My biggest issue with the deck is you still frequently find yourself in a position where you're running out of cards or you're just whiffing on mills, and that's kind of rough. But all that said, the power level of the deck is still pretty high. It's just not at the point where it can go higher than the rest. Next up, we got Join Tech. This is another deck I recently made a video on my channel. You can go ahead and check that out. Rush Rundown Join Tech. This deck is really cool. It's definitely got some nice new additions with the Equip spell and the Join Tech Raptor. There is a super funny mill deck you could play with the Join Tech Raptor and all the other stuff. But all those cards don't really push the Join Tech deck into being meta, so it gets another low rating, another list in a row. Following up, we have a card that was absolutely blasted by the ban list. We have Materion. I'm putting Materion in has potential. Why? Because the Materion cards are super good. They're super strong, but without the Gaia skill, the deck goes from being the best in the game to being very, very, very low. It's back to having the same inconsistency issues that kept it from being the best of the best in previous formats. But I'm putting it has potential because the release of new cards, maybe the release of some cards from the ban list, could possibly help the deck climb the ladder. Honestly, you could definitely be playing this deck, but cards like Type Change being limited to 1 and the limiting of Star Restart really hurts this deck. Now that's for the do not play, we have Miss Mutton. Why is Miss Mutton even on this list? Who has even been playing Miss Mutton recently? I don't know. When I was inserting decks from when I was making the list, I just had the image still saved here, and I was like, okay, I'll just include Miss Mutton just because I think she's cute, I guess. So yeah, Miss Mutton, don't play it. It has the same issue where things in defense just clear you completely. Next up, we got Blue Eyes. So pure Blue Eyes would go here and do not play, but Blue Eyes Monarch would get a fun but not great. Honestly, if we added those two together, it would probably even out to fun but not great. The deck is alright, it's fine. It's just super outdated for the current format, and being able to pop with your Bright Dragon if you have Blue Eyes on field is really sacky. The Burst Stream of Destruction isn't too great and takes up your Legend slot. The deck just doesn't have a lot working for it, and maybe future support can make it better, but I wouldn't put it in has potential because I don't think it can do much in the future. Next up, we got Aggro. Aggro is a deck that I'm always putting on these lists, and I'm always saying it's good. Just summoning a Dragios or summoning an Ancient Gear Golem on an unsuspecting player who may be bricked or they didn't have that good of a setup, it can just win you games. And just throwing down big dudes does sometimes just win you the game. So that's why Aggro still gets a topping slot. Next up, we got Harpies. I'm going to put Harpies in the do not play category. It's just honestly, these days, all our decks have like search power, and Harpies has nothing. They have no search power, don't really do anything with the max part of the deck, and then the stat modulation just isn't significant enough for Harpies to really take on any of the other decks, whether it's through the skill or the actual Harpy Sisters effect. Next up, we got Blaster's Inferno. This is another one of my favorite decks to play in the game. I love this deck. It's super cool, it's super fun, but you can't guarantee you get all the good cards in one hand, and then you just kind of die on the spot. So rough stuff, but deck is still a lot of fun. A Dragonic Pressure resolving and just wiping the opponent's entire board is super cool. And I would say the dopamine from doing that and then OTKing them with a bunch of secret orders is worth the trouble. It's worth the trouble, it's worth the grind. I would say do it. Now, on to our last deck. We have Cyber Dragon. Cyber Dragon, you might remember, got some new tools, got some new cards, got a new fusion, and we have to think, where could Cyber Dragon go? Is it fun but not great? I mean, it's pretty okay. You know, last format it was a ghost. It has potential? There are Cyber Dragon cards that aren't released. There are machine cards that aren't released. There are light machine cards that haven't been released. Is it good on ladder or is it top tier? It's good on ladder. Cyber Dragon is just back to being good. It's just good. Previously, it couldn't really stand up to the Gaia decks. Honestly, Gaia decks just really ate it for breakfast. Just being really able to kill through pretty much anything Sidra set up. And then the Cyber Twin Dragon setup just wasn't enough to overwhelm the Gaia players, because then they would just pop off on their next turn and then go ahead and kill you. The stat modulation was insane. The other cards just attacking directly and things like that. Just Gaia was just on such another level that Sidra couldn't really compete with it. So that's why we saw the big drop off as well. Sidra had its fame from being the best deck that was pretty much free to play. And then Gaia took that spot and ran with it. But since the deck is gone, Cyber Dragon gets a nice slot in the good tier. And that's the list. If you watched the video all the way to this point, I want to say thank you so much for watching. And if there is something you disagree with on this list, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. As well, if you don't really understand what my tiers even mean, why don't you go check out my last tier list where I explain them all. We'll get a little bit of some extra views on those older lists if you want to figure out what I mean by all these things. Anyway, if I forgot anything, like I said, leave that in the comments. If you disagree, leave that in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see everyone next time for hopefully some gameplay videos or something like that. Who's to know? Who's to say? Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.